Eddie and I welded the corners in, did some metal finishing, got everything finished, tied back together. We've got the wood out of it. The body itself now is one piece again. And so now we're going to put the roof insert in. Then we'll set our roof up there and get our profile the way we like it. And then we'll get it clecoed in, and I'll show you how I install a roof insert. Okay, so this is our roof insert for the 32/3 window. It's about 1.25 inches or so larger all the way around than the opening. So we may trim some off of the front of it, depending on where the crown looks best on the roof. The reason I make the roof inserts larger is all of the openings on the cars vary, and so if I made one that fitted exactly, it would be too small or too big for something else. So I just go ahead and make them 1.25 inches larger all the way around anyway, and then that helps if you got any rust problems around that drip channel or that channel for the tack strip. So that being said, this is shaped. This is my Model A fixture, and this fixture has the same crown for the Model A, 32/5 window, 32/3 window. But you can see the difference in size. A Model A roof insert comes all the way to here. It's quite a bit bigger. We happen to have right over here a Model A roof insert setting up on a Model A coupe we're working on. So you can see the size difference. And with the right amount of crown in it, it's not even welded in, and it's really strong because it has the correct amount of crown, and it's happy. Carrying it over, don't trip, just carry it over. You can see here in the back, it's hanging over quite a bit, so we're going to go forward till it kind of lays there where it needs to. Looks pretty good. Okay. And then the other thing that's going to change it a little bit is whenever we cut the tack strip out of there. Well, for the most part, you see it's got this crown, nice crown. The front, it'll come down the front. Of course, it's going to get shortened in the front because it's coming way forward. The opening's way back here, so we'll trim off the front. Just kind of give it a quick look-see. It's got a good profile here on the sides and the back. So I'm going to take this back off, and then I'm going to cut the channel out where the tack strip and everything went. So we'll get that out of the way. So as you can see, we're 1.5 inches. You know, that's the inside, so we're going to come to about right here. We'll take about 1 inch or so off, right across the front. Okay, so I've got it clamped down in a few places. I've got this shop bag up here to hold everything flat because it was kind of pooched up. I looked at my header on the inside to get a a line, put a little shim over here in the corner. Got it clamped. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put clecos in the roof and with these little tabs. And what these little tabs do is we'll drill the first cleco hole through the roof, and then we'll put this tab on there. Then we drill another hole, and this tab's on the roof. Then we'll number it all the way around. And then once we do our scribe line and we cut the rest of the roof out, when we put the top back on to keep it from falling through, these clecos will, with the little tabs, be cleco to the skin, to the insert, and then cleco to the body, and it'll just hold it in place for us. Really simple, brainless kind of thing. And I'm just going to put like 3 in the back and 1 and 2 on the side and then 3 in the front. You notice when I was tacking it in, I didn't tack it one place, corner tack it, because I needed to move it around a little bit from time to time. When you tack it in, that's why you give you those little feet with your clecos. You start in one place and you go all the way around in a circle and come around. That way you can move it around. As you can see, the profile and everything looks really good from side to side and to the front. It's got a few high spots here. There's a spot here in the back that needs shrunk that's on the body. But it's really strong, like it was, stamped from the factory. And contours, everything, front to back, are really nice. So now we're ready to start welding. I want to probably slap it around a little bit here and there, and then we'll weld it up and start metal finishing it. Okay, so we're welding in our top here, And what I do is I take it in sections. I'm going to weld like 3 or 4 inches, okay? And then I'm going to cool it with this damp rag and get this back cool. And then I'm going to hammer and dolly that little bit, and then I'm going to go some more and then cool it and then hammer and dolly that. And the reason I cool the weld before I hammer and dolly it, if the metal is hot, real hot, when you hammer and dolly it, you overstretch it because it's softer, because it's, you know, it's hot in that area, so all the molecules are moving around. And so if you get in there with a hammer and dolly straight on, you're going to stretch it even more and give you more of a problem. Okay, we've got all the welding done, and now we're going to start metal finish and shrinking and stretching everything. Right now we've got a high spot right here that's really big. It's a huge high spot. It starts here, mainly concentrated right in here. Now there's 2 ways we can shrink this. We can shrink it with a shrinking disc, which is a stainless steel blade. These serrations, it's just metal on metal. It generates heat, and you heat it and quench, heat and quench. I want it to shrink a little faster. The blade will do it, but I want to do something a little bit faster. So I'm going to shrink with a torch, and what that means is I'm going to take my torch, I'm going to heat up a spot, and then I'm going to hammer and dolly it. This was taught to me by Wesley Kent, whose father, Dave Kent, taught it to him, and it was taught to him by some badass guys that built stuff in the 20s and 30s. When we take a hammer and dolly on cold steel and we hit it, it's metal on metal, okay? So therefore, nothing can give. When you hit, it stretches. There's no give in metal on metal. And if you heat it up and hit it, you're going to stretch it even more. So, and you throw the water on it and it'll shrink a little bit on its own with the water. The only thing it's doing the shrinking is quenching it real fast with the water. All you're doing is overstretching and then quenching it with water, overstretch, quenching it with water. It doesn't work. You're doing it wrong. I promise. I did it. I tried it for years. And then Wesley says, well, I'm going to take some heat shrinks with a torch. And I go, you can't. You just ruin it. It just doesn't work. And he goes, yeah, it is. You're using the wrong hammer. You got to use a rawhide mallet. Okay? Here's the magic with the rawhide mallet. So we heat up this little dot. We're going to heat up a little dot. I'm only going to do it in small spots, okay? So we're going to heat up a little dot. That big around, for starters. You heat it up red hot. You back it up with your dolly, lightly. You just want it to light. And then, instead of hitting right in the middle of the hot spot, you start working on the outside, going around in a circle, and get smaller and smaller with your circle till you're in the center of your hot spot. Well, what happens is, say my fingers are metal molecules, okay? And if they're happy, they're all in order where they need to be. If it's stretched too much, the molecules are apart. So we're trying to shrink them back together. So what we do is we heat this area up, and what the heat does is it takes the strength out of the metal because it's warm and everything's moving around. And it's cold on the outside around from where we've heated it. So the cold is stronger than the heated area. So it's trying to push naturally this way. And if you quench it, it'll shrink a little bit. But if what we're going to do is we're going to push these molecules back together. Then you take your mallet and you're going around in circles and you're pushing everything back together, and then you quench it and it locks it in place. And it's amazing how much metal you can shrink. The rawhide mallet, that's the trick. Okay, now we're going to come down this side here, and I'm going to go over it with the shrinking disc. I've kind of knocked a little bit off the weld to get rid of any big chunks that might be sticking up. Sanded from the bottom to be sure there wasn't anything extra on the bottom. Now we just take our blade and we're going to go back and forth. And it's going to tell us what's high, because the high spots are going to get hot first. Don't be afraid to push down on it and put some muscle into it, weight on it. The metal will turn red hot. It'll go red, just like with the torch. See, it's really cool because we're not removing any metal, it's just rubbing it, getting it hot. And as it gets hot, the molecules are busy there, and where it's strong, it's pushing and shrinking it down. You can see, and by feeling of it, you can tell that it's getting to be pretty straight already. It's going to show you where the highs and lows are still. So we got a little bit of a low spot. So we're just flattening out our high spot. And now we can go back with our sander and make it smooth. Just a DA set on cut and 80 grit. Just going to use the weight of the thing, try not to remove very much metal. But I meant, you can barely feel those, but for the demonstration, I'm going to bring them up. Same way with this paper, your 80 grit, be sure you keep changing them out. You want this edge to always stay sharp because we're just trying to file with it. Just keep continuing all the way around till we get back to here. Might go around it a couple of times to get exactly what you want, but that's basically the steps I use to get a metal finish, and then we'll take DA, then we'll DA everything, and then we'll go back over it with the Scotch-Brite, and that's about it. Okay, another tool that we have that's really helpful is a handheld planishing hammer. There are several makes out there. This one here just happens to be an original Chicago Pneumatic planishing hammer. It's portable, so you can go up to your work and use it. It's got different arms. This is the shorter arm that we need to get inside that rear window. I have some longer arms, so you can get up in there deeper, and then I have some that I've made that are really long. The one thing about this tool is it moves sheet metal really fast. What I do to help really control this thing is I have a remote regulator that I put in line. Okay, so with the thing installed in the car, see, and the way you raise a low spot is go in a circular motion from the inside out, and it'll raise up. If you go like this, it just kind of, sometimes it doesn't really raise, but if you'll start in a circular motion and bring it out, that'll help. Also with this machine, you want to be holding up on it. I mean, this is a very physical machine because you're squeezing it. You don't, if you let the weight of the machine just run on it, it's going to stretch and you'll get a giant low spot. So you got to be holding up on it. I mean, you got to get physical with this thing. Now see this little low spot right here, it came up like right now. But because this was low and I brought this up, it stretched this a little bit. Feel it, and it feels really, really, really good. Like, oh man, I got it, it's perfect. Your hands are all tingly, going crazy. barbarian cut this son of a bitch out. Here we are on the final part of this chop on this 32-3 window finally. Believe it or not, we're getting there. Okay, it's the cowl area. Somebody had gas welded the door lid shut, pounded it down and leaded it up, and just roached the top of this cowl, okay? So it's junk. When we lean the posts back, you know, and the dash and everything goes back, that's why with this in the stock location on the rail, we've got this 3/8 inch gap here, see? If you don't take it back with your A-pillars, then when the windshield shuts, it'll hit here in the middle and the edges of the windshield frame will be out. So all that has to rotate back. These areas right here in the A-pillar, I've had to make these corner pieces to replace all of this in here. This side is not as bad as the other side. Very time-consuming part to make because you got your windshield post coming down here, and this is where your windshield frame has to sit, and then it wraps around on that bead, then it all has to fade into this corner. So really time-consuming piece to have to make. And this side over here, you know, you can see this is what was in this side over here. This thing is like just roached. Look at that. It's a mess. And most of that is factory Ford. You know, they just pounded them in and leaded them up. But of course, this is so bad. See, look at the back side of this. I mean, we can't even fix it or smooth it up or anything. So left no option except for to have to make these new pieces. I'm gonna cut this off, basically right across here. Okay, and we're gonna add these pieces on right here, and then start getting everything fitted. And then this piece here will be one piece with the two new ends connected to the middle piece, and then I'm going to make a new panel that'll come this way and have a little bit of reverse on it to tie into this here. Here we are on day 2,755 of the 32-3 window. I got started this morning before you guys woke up. What I did was, you know, we got our corners tacked in here. I made me a paper pattern of this cowl piece that we're doing. Transferred it to a piece of sheet metal and cut it out. It has a slight reverse curve on it right here. And it's real slight, so I didn't have to do it on the power hammer. I just did it on the planishing hammer, used a linear stretch die, and got this going. We're going to tie our new panel into the part of the original cowl panel. If we made this entire area like this, you'd have to do a lot of linear stretch to get this to all come up and flow at the correct arc. And then to get it to fold over at your crease line, you'd have to go in there and shrink everything back up to get it to fold over. So it would be a pretty difficult piece to make in one piece. So since this piece of the cowl is in good shape, we're going to use it. We're just going to blend our new piece in. See, I've got my piece. It's clecoed on. Just a couple clamps for holding it. But if you take the clamps off, you can see that, you know, our fit is really good. Nothing's jumping around. So thing looks pretty good. So that'll weld up really nice, you know, we'll do that. But what I'm going to do first is we're going to address the front area here. When I take this off, you'll see that there's the band of the original cowl in here. And instead of trying to weld this to that piece, what we're going to do is we're going to tip this flange down. And I have this bead already made that I've used in the past for fixing cowls. So what I'm going to do is we're going to tip this 90 and then on the flanger, and then we're going to go back on the pull max and run this bead right here on this edge. And so the only weld will be right here on this seam, and I won't have to mess with trying to weld out here in the flat and deal with shrinking and stretching it and getting that weld perfect. And then the scribe underneath. We're up against the stock panel. So you can see this is the part I'm talking about right here. When we put our new piece on, it's going to come down and drop, and we're going to weld it right here on the inside right here. All right, we got our new panels welded to the upper header of the cowl, whatever you want to call it, the cowl piece here. It's all welded. Eddie Metal finished it all bitch and pretty for us. We're going to do one side at a time because this thing's going to grow. You know, it'll grow if you just scribe it and cut it, then you slide it back, it's going to have a gap because it's going to get smaller. We're gonna scribe it here and here, right here in the front. Take it off, cut these two scribe lines, put it back on and slide it back. Then I'm gonna put this scribe line here, put it back on, and we'll do this side over here. So we'll take it baby steps so we don't have to go back. So here we are, faithful day. We're ready to take this thing and get the inside of it powder coated like we did the doors. Got the new cowl all installed and metal finished out around here. We went completely over the body probably 5 or 6 times, just looking for any problems that it might have had. We got the roof metal finished, the rest of the body's metal finished. We loosened everything up on the fixture, and the fixture didn't move, or the body didn't move on the fixture, so everything seems to be strong and happy exactly where it needs to be. So it's been a very challenging project. Body had a lot of issues, but it looks like that we finally succeeded in getting everything repaired and back in order. So like I said, we're going to take it off the fixture, put it in the truck, take it to powder coat. He'll do the inside of it. Okay, everybody, hey, we got this thing back from powder coat. Inside's all bitching. Got the wood all put back together, got it all sealed, put back in. Doors are swinging. Everything's looking good. Fits good. Deck lid's on. Cowl's finished. Body's nice. So that's where we're finally at. I hope you guys enjoyed the series. I appreciate you sticking with it and sticking with me on it. I know it took a long time and there's a lot of information, but I hope it really helped everybody out. I'd like to thank the owner of this car, Ivan Botello. He's from Hawaii. I'd like to thank him and his family for allowing me to do this project. This has been in his family since the mid-'80s, and this has been a dream of his to build this car. And he wanted that chop like Alan Button's car is. It was in Rodder's Journal. Alan Button was nice enough to give us the templates so we could get the window openings on his door exactly the same as his car. So a big shout out to Alan Button for helping us out. And I really, really, really want to thank Ivan and Pearl for letting me do their car, being patient with me on their car because it took forever, and for letting us, you know, follow along on doing the chop. And I really appreciate them. And I hope that this car turns out great for them and they have a lot of fun cruising up and down the coast in Hawaii. I want to thank Eddie for helping me out on this thing. He put a lot of effort into it. I want to thank Piero for doing all the great video work and all the editing. He's got lots and lots of hours in that, and I really appreciate it. But mostly I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for being a supporter of Walden Speed Shop. We love you guys, and keep on building hot rods, baby.